Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About YouABQ.
Season 3, where are you going to be? It's all about YouABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, and lifestyle so that you walk away with some value and feel inspired. The way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you want to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You follow us up here on social media or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage Home Loan Expert.
You probably recognize Grant as the head coach of the University of New Men's Mexico Lobo soccer team.
We're out of practice.
Now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage game.
We see Skip on HGTV's House Hunters. He's part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in the city.
Yeah,
I still got it.
You put me to shame this episode. So as we roll into 2024, man,
Happy
congrats.
New Year, guys. Yeah.
Season 3 pushing along. Man, it feels good to be back in the studio, shaking off the cobwebs. I know we had a little bit of a break there for the holiday season, not just Christmas, but also New Year's.
New Year's. Yeah. So do you have any resolutions?
I do have resolutions. In fact, I'm exercising my brain a little bit more this year, right?
Oh, what does that even mean?
So I solved a Rubik's Cube was my first goal.
Did you?
Solved the Rubik's Cube.
I'm so
I was
proud
going to
of
have a video of that, but it's pretty, exactly.
There's a video of it. Just takes like 3 hours and
Cut
80
to that.
minutes. Okay,
Come back, we're just napping.
Yeah.
All right, is it done?
No, he's still working. He's almost got it.
But yeah, that was my goal, was to do a Rubik's Cube. Did it second day of the year, so I don't know. I guess
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I want to do more reading, and I want to own more animals.
Yeah.
Those
good.
are my goals.
Yeah, well, here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're joined by Adam Gay of Athletic, Power, Explosion, and Speed Training, also known as APES Training. So, yeah.
That's an interesting story about this kid. And why I kind of like the gym culture, I feel like it's like the golf resort for like men, is where you go just hang out with other dudes and like pump iron, and you talk to them about life. And I saw this guy, this young guy turn into this gargantuan guy that put me to shame in the weight room. But yeah, I like him and his family.
Yeah, no, Adam's got a good story, so we're going to hear all about APES Training and what that is, and kind of how you guys can get involved at home if you want to get bigger, faster, stronger, more explosive is the key
Because
word.
Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Because as more time goes on, don't look at me for how to get bigger and stronger and faster.
Yeah, that's not my style anymore.
But you do, like, he's a big circuit trainer guy.
Oh, yeah.
Guy would visit every machine.
Are you think this is an accident right here?
Yeah. Where do you think this came from?
Let's talk a little bit more about New Year's Eve, man, as we go into 2024.
Yeah.
Did you guys get in any fights New Year's Eve?
Yeah, I like that. You threw that in there. It's fighting. So we went to Topgolf, and it was my siblings and a couple hockey guys, but we had a pretty good time. I mean, Topgolf, it's hard to have a bad time there.
Oh, it's a great time. No, it's a good venue. It's good for Albuquerque. For our New Year's, we started a little tradition last year. We go up to some friend's house up in the mountains, and just kind of do. So last year we grilled out steaks, but we grilled a giant tomahawk steak.
What are you, rich?
Yeah, not bragging. So we did last year. In fact, we got the video last year of the big tomahawk steak, and it's enough to feed everybody. So everybody just kind of nibbles on it. So here it is. We throw it down on the fire.
Why does the flame look like that?
Yeah, it's hungry. So this year we decided to go.
It's hungry. It's not an explanation.
We went Wagyu beef this year. So we did a little Wagyu steak.
It's crazy how it almost looks like pork.
That's my friend All Night
Oh,
Alan.
I like him. Yeah.
All Night Alan.
Yeah.
So we did Wagyu beef, which if you're not familiar,
Well, it's a skillet,
let's
right?
watch it again.
Yeah. That's that you worked with the skillet. A skillet on the grill.
Yeah.
That's kind of a combo.
Yeah. So
Do you know how to do that, or is it him?
that's his recipe.
Okay.
But so anyway, so Wagyu, let me just humble brag for him because he always comes in with the with the fat steaks. But so A5, and there's different grades. You can go all the way up to 12 is like...
That's how I made it to 12th grade.
Yeah, you did make it to 12th grade. You still dress like it. So then so ours was graded 11 out of 12 on an A5. Anyways, long story short, it was fantastic. First time I ever had Wagyu, but either way.
Yeah, that's something
kind of
else.
cool.
Yeah. What does each one of those cost?
Oh, you gotta set you back.
Yeah, well, yeah, more than you can afford, pal.
You have to ask, pal. So yeah, but let's talk about something else interesting as we get into 2024. I want to talk about a real estate market update. And this is kind of, rings true, what we can expect in the upcoming year. And so here's a clip of me on a recent podcast I did, giving kind of a market update on what to expect. Mark, go ahead and roll that clip.
The Albuquerque housing market is still warm despite a winter chill. And here's what I mean. Now, November and December are typically slower months of the year, but we've seen a decrease in the amount of homes that are on the market in addition to an increase in the median home price. So here's what that means. While the number of active listings have dipped compared to last year, we saw a continued rise in prices here in Albuquerque. And this indicates a sustained demand for housing despite being in the winter months where it's typically slower. So overall, the housing market remains healthy, showing signs of stability and modest growth. And it's important to note that market conditions can change, especially with interest rates expected to drop next year. So if you're sitting on the sidelines, it may be a good idea to look at options for buying or selling right now. Share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
Oh, that's just knowledge right there.
Yeah, and tell them Skip said so.
Seemed like a pretty good
Just
delivery.
walk up to people and you know what? Skip said so. So there's a stamp.
How's your
Anyways,
marriage?
now don't worry about my credit score. Skip said so.
No, but the reason we brought up that video, if you could tell, is something a little off about it. So artificial intelligence is really taking over our industry in real estate.
You're going to tell on yourself?
What?
Okay.
No, this is where it is. So that wasn't even me. This is all artificial intelligence. It was computer generated, the voice, and the video, which I thought is pretty cool because now you can kind of streamline your videos or your production, stuff like that. So you basically would type up a script, and then your avatar will read it for you.
I'm kind of worried about artificial intelligence.
It's pretty wild, though, right?
Well, yeah, but what's going to happen soon? Where like people are like, okay, we just saw a video of you. I'm like, oh, that wasn't me. That was
Sparks conversation, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is
like,
pretty
spark,
interesting.
yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, share it with your friends.
Yeah, sure. Skip said so.
But I thought that was cool. So the website is called HeyGen. So heygen.io.com. But either way, you can log in and create a free account. And basically, you just kind of
That was for,
you go
that
into
was
it.
free.
It's free.
And it got your mouth to move with the like,
Wild, right? So there's a couple, So
Wow.
you can do, you can upload scripts, and you can kind of, choose your background.
That's funny.
And really kind of go after it.
Yeah, I don't know. The mouth doesn't move. That's a chunky.
I think you should leave. So one other thing I wanted to chat about, some really big news in Albuquerque. We always talk about the Housing Forward initiative that the mayor started, approving casitas. So if you have, if you do have a residential zone property, you are now allowed to put a casita in the backyard up to 750 square feet.
What, 750?
Up to 750 square feet,
Yeah.
okay? But the cool thing that the city did now is they released free construction plans on the website. So step by step, there's a 4-step process. You can basically submit a site plan, then you submit for a building permit, you can upload the permit package, make any corrections if needed, and then pay your building permit. And then you can use these free plans. So there's free plans anywhere from 450 square feet up to 750 square feet.
That's great.
These plans were donated by a local firm. So everything you need to get started, and everything is done online.
Also, did you know that they throw in a free race car bed
Is that true?
for every casita?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casita yourself blessed to get one of those.
Oh well.
So either way,
he's a dad.
streamlining-
Dad jokes. They come free.
Streamlining the casita process, not just offering it, but also making it available and making the process more.
Let me ask you: is there a certain amount of lot size you have to have a casita? Was there?
There obviously is going to be some clearance between the back wall, the side wall, that
Yeah.
you have to do, and I think 750 is the max, but it has to be a percentage of livable space depending on how big your floor plan is.
Okay.
So if your house is only 450 square feet, I don't think you can build a 750 square foot.
Just
but it does depend. So you do have to get a site plan approved, and make sure everything is up to code before you get your building permit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's certain sections of this town that actually would be able to support this, and there's some, and I don't want to talk trash, there's some subdivisions will barely let you throw a rake in besides your house and the back wall. So I think there's going to be certain parts of the city where this is going to be conducive to growth and actually be something very lucrative in the future to think about buying, right? So for me, I was going through that same process. I was trying to figure out the house that would let me do a casita, and I think it's still in my future.
Yeah, you do have a huge backyard.
I don't think I'll do it there, but
right,
I would probably do it in another place that had a Pomeranian farm.
When it comes to financing, though, it can always be a challenge to get financing for casitas, stuff like that.
It can, and we talk about this. Maybe I'll shift my mortgage minute, something we were going to talk about before, about what appraisers find to have value. And a lot of times, just because you put money into your house, you're not going to exactly get the same money back, just like solar panels, right? So casita, it would be very interesting to see what they do with casitas. It would be neat to see how they would document the added value for your property and another, I guess, dwelling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because you can estimate around $250 a square foot.
Yeah.
Times 750. What is that? I don't know. 250,000.
That's 712 trillion.
Carry the one.
Yeah.
You probably get that back in solar panels.
Yeah. Actually, that'll be my mortgage minute. Mortgage minute. Let's talk about solar panels.
Throwback to solar.
Yeah. So, Guy, environmentalist here, love solar energy, love the idea of kind of getting off the grid and such, but I want to talk about solar panels and the misinformation that's been given out by a lot of probably solar salesmen, right? It would be conducive for them to tell you how much value it's going to add to your house. I'll tell you what, so far, appraisers aren't giving the same amount of solar power value that you would anticipate by paying. Let's say you paid $35,000 in solar panels. I would say you're going to maybe expect $10,000 maybe added value, but the other thing is you don't ever want to make that someone else's problem. You don't want to sell your house and go, well, you're actually on the hook. I'm finance these solar panels. It's not going to convey well, and these people won't get their money back. So in a brief synopsis, that's my take on solar panels.
Yeah, I've never had a good experience with solar panels.
Well, let's talk about people who they're still financing it. So, right, there's a lien attached to the property. And people go, well, then we have this, and then also you got to pay off these solar panels. You pay them off. That was your idea. You got
bamboozled into ordering. I went through a house. Ash and I went through a house in Albuquerque Acres, and it was like a decent house, priced okay. And then it was like, oh, by the way, we bought $100,000 in solar panels. Yeah. I'm like, for a house, $100,000?
Yeah, we're
you're gonna have to pay that off. And I'm like, I'm not paying for that. I don't have $100,000.
That's a hard thing. Like, if you're going to get solar panels, pay them off and make sure it's not the next person's obligation if you're going to sell your house. I mean, look, I'm all for that technology, but you can't put someone else on the hook for it. It's going to be a poor sale.
Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Adam Gay of Athletic Power, Explosion, and Speed Training here in town. Got a great story. Moved from out of state to New Mexico, became a Lobo, and now he is changing lives with power, explosion, and speed training. So stay tuned to the next segment as we welcome Adam Gay. This is the YouABQ podcast. Welcome back, segment 2, What You Gonna Do? We're joined by Adam Gay of Athletic Power, Explosion, and Speed Training. Adam, dude, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
You know what's funny? Like, you walked in, and I was prepared to have you as a guest, but this is the first time I met you in person. And you were like a human eclipse walking in. I was just like, it's intimidating, dude.
I appreciate it.
But that's the kind of trainer that you want to have. So
that's my sentiment, right? I mean, if you're going to have something that you want to aspire to be, it's great to have the know-how, but we all know from coaching too. Like, we have to know when I coach hockey players, like, I have to do the drills.
Yeah, get on the line.
Like, here we go, you know what I mean? But like, you have to go, hey, you shouldn't have to prove yourself like that, but it's very important that you do look like that if you're going to be a trainer.
That's funny. Just the other day, one of my football players, he he was talking about doing one-on-ones where the offensive line would go against the defensive line, and he wanted to run a rep with me, and I said, I don't know if you know what you're getting into. And then I said, it doesn't matter. I said, you can pick offensive line or defensive line. I said, it's not going to go well for you. So we weren't in pads or anything, and I was just in my loose-fitting sneakers, but I was able to get my steps in and make sure that he knew about the business.
Oh yeah, so, who's daddy?
Yeah, or even I have lots of my younger guys. They'll go, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And I said, one, we need to. It's what's going to help you. But also, this is the same stuff I do, right? I do all this stuff before I run my guys through a leg day. I make sure it's something that I've tried, that it's going to work them hard, and make sure that they're getting their butt kicked.
You have a real life testimonial as to like, here's how I got here. Here's what I do. This isn't just textbook stuff, because we've all had coaches where you go, buddy, I don't know. I don't, come on. But if you go, like, this is how I got here, and they respect you as an athlete or like what you've done before, it's easier to take that pill, right?
Yeah.
To either take that dose of like truth and harshness too, right? And I think kids actually have to see it. I mean, it's unfortunate because my coaching skills are like dissipating as we go, but like they have to see you. They had to get bodied up every once in a while, you know?
Sure. But let's talk a little bit about how you did end up here. So you didn't grow up you weren't born in Albuquerque.
No, I wasn't. So I was born in Rochester, New York. I grew up there. I moved here in 10th grade. I went to Volcano Vista High School, and then
what is that? The Hawks?
Yeah.
What is it? The Hawks, bro?
We weren't throwing up any singles, but and I don't know if Hawks crew like an owl, but So I finished up there. I was primarily baseball and swimming. My brothers played hockey, and that's kind of how I got to meet Grant as well. I transitioned to football my senior year after an injury, and I couldn't play baseball anymore, and that led to college opportunities, scholarships, and eventually being able to get play with the Lobos and do 3 years with the Lobos. And
well, that's fantastic. Now everybody knows this one. I mean, you transitioned from this to this one. And I respect this one a little bit more. So that's great. So you got to play football with the Lobos. So I think that's a great story. And we always want to ask people, it's like, what is it about New Mexico that you like? I mean, you have experience living at least a little bit of your life on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. What sets Albuquerque different from different parts of the country that you've been to?
At 15, moving across the country, it was a pretty big culture shock, right? The adjustment, and especially 15 is kind of where I felt like, you already have your friends that you've had for pretty much, your entire life, and coming in when everybody else has already had their friends, it was a big adjustment for me. But that kind of turned my attention to the gym, and in a way that with no friends moving into sophomore year, that whole summer, I was like, well, I might as well go to the gym 7 days a week and get the grind going. You know how you make new friends
is you'd be the biggest guy in school. That's how you get new friends. Oh, well, let's see what he's up to.
Yeah, I was when I got here, I was about 6'4", 170 pounds, and my playing weight my last year was 6'4.5", 285. So I was able to pretty much do
just like Skip.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the off season right now.
285. Yeah.
Can you imagine me at 285?
I couldn't be friends with you.
Squatty guy.
You'd probably just eat all my food and weigh down my car.
I would say linebacker, but that's even big for a linebacker.
That's funny. So we got your stats now, but here's the cool thing. Not just and I can say meathead because this guy was a meathead too. Not just a stereotypical meathead. You have a business background, a master's in business. Talk a little bit about that.
So I figured the desk job would be waiting for me. The master's degree isn't going anywhere, and about 1 year left in my undergrad, I was thinking the coaching, the personal training aspect, that's what I really want to do, right? Whether it's small scale or the larger scale, I was a strength coach at Highlands while I was there, while I was playing, right? So I was an assistant with the strength staff, and what I would do is I'd finish up my lift with my time slot, and then I'd shower and I'd come back and I would train the rest of the football team. I would get into the baseball, basketball, volleyball teams and kind of train them while I was still there. So while I was an athlete, I was getting the experience of being a coach. And so the business background, social media is still not new, but it's an ever-growing landscape. And I'm kind of old school in that way I'm not good at it, right? So I'm just now getting into the social media stuff, and the Instagram page that I have is pretty new. Yeah. But I realize that it's an important thing for the growth, and for the business stuff.
Well, what we found too, and Grant, you could speak to this, is when you are a small business owner, it's not just you're an expert in strength training. You have to be an expert in computers and now accounting and now social media marketing and now paying taxes and incorporating. So there's a whole different thing. You know, you're like, I just wanted to like do some bench press and hang out with the boys, but it's like, no, you got to be an expert. In everything.
It's a tough thing because one of the funny things about is I tell my young players, I go, be careful when you get successful because you're going to get what you ask for. There's a whole another baggage accompany with being successful, and I'm sure you're gonna get there if you're not already there now. It's a tough thing for a young guy to go, man. I just wanted to train. Like, what are these taxes? Like, well, come on, man. Like, it's a tough thing, and you start to embody that when you get older. As you start to realize like what the world has, and then you go, oh man. So every time I get more successful, these are the perils.
More problems.
Yeah.
They should write a song about that.
Yeah, more money, more problems. We'll have to come up with one.
So we're talk a little bit about APES Training. What was the birth behind APES Training? What does that even mean?
So APES Training, like you had mentioned before, it's athletic power, explosion, speed training, and the monkey just kind of comes along with it and gives it kind of a intimidating look. In the color scheme, I was like, I already had a lot of black and red from my time with the Lobos, so it kind of worked out.
He didn't have enough though, because I had to donate him a pair of. Did I give you socks?
He did give me socks. Yeah.
The Lobos are kind of sparing about what they give their players. They're like, oh, we'll just give you a few things, and then we were on a tight budget. Out the rest, but I was like, one day I was like, how do you not have Lobo socks? I'm like, I'm gonna give. You know what? As a coach, I'm gonna give you some Lobo socks, man.
Give him the socks off my back.
Anyways, keep going.
So starting like I mentioned before, when I moved here, I didn't have a whole lot going on because I just moved here at 15, and I got in the gym. I fell in love with the gym, and one of the reasons I was able to get to the college level was due to my work ethic in the gym and of course in the classroom as well. But having only played 1 year of high school football, I needed the physicality and the presence of somebody who could dominate at the next level of college football. So right then I kind of got the jump right there with my passion for it and my love for it. And then when I had the opportunity to coach while I was playing and be an assistant up there, I was like, I know I can bring value in helping these guys. And one of my big pushes for all of my athletes, whether they're traditional or non-traditional athletes, is the mental toughness aspect of it and pushing them to be ready for the next caliber of play and over-preparing them to dominate at the level that they're at. So as I went to UNM and as I transferred and got a new experience at a second school, I could see what my old coach did well, what the new coach does well, and what the coach they brought in after that does even better than the previous two. And it's also seeing it from when you got a football team, you got 50 to 100 guys lifting at once. Who falls through the cracks? What is the attention to detail? And I think that is something that I bring to the table in that small scale, small groups, individual training that focuses on their sport, their own progress, logging every single workout they do to make sure that each week we're getting better and just to make sure that they are excelling to the level that I know they're capable of.
What I like is that we were talking before the show about how he has a smaller class level, right? So he feels like he can do a good job of 6 or 7 athletes. And that's really practical, right? I mean, you would love to have a coach seemingly get 100 athletes in front of him and doing the right thing, but like one-on-one, the amount of the amount of people that you concentrate on, which is a lot lower of specimens, actually would bode well for your concentration and the attention you can spend with them. So the other thing is, I think it's important for a young guy to get through this because your tank is full, right? I mean, I would say like me coaching is 31 years old versus 42. I got a little bit grumpier. I got I wasn't as enthused. I mean, my wisdom got bigger, but there's something to be said about a young guy who's in there, like who just got done playing. I think you can give your students more energy than an older guy who just has this down. Like, all right, here's a clipboard. Here's what we do, right? I think that's your competitive.
Because I think you're more in tune to what the body feels like, what the recovery time feels like, and what know. And I think when I was done with playing baseball, I coached for a year, and I felt like I had so much to offer, and I was down, and I was working with the kids, and then, but to speak to you, it's like after you've been doing it a while, it becomes more of like you're doing all the clerical work and
Here's the routine.
booking flights, and then you got to do all the bullshit, the hotels. And
and like here we go. Here's what you guys are gonna do. I know you're gonna cry and complain, but I think that a good coach or trainer remembers his best coaches and borrows from that, and then vows. Like I vowed to never be a guy that I didn't like as a coach. You know, that's why I used to do hockey drills with all the way to the end. I would get there and be like, hey, we're gonna do conditioning. Here I am. You guys pissed me off, but I'm gonna do conditioning with you.
Don't let me beat you.
Oh,
for sure.
But you want to pick and borrow, because you probably had a lot of coaches, and then you go, okay, that was good, and there's not enough. I mean, you can't ever say that I have it all figured out in coaching. You go, that guy was really wise in here, and he did really good here, and then I had a coach there. So it's kind of good to have a conglomerate of coaches that you borrow off of. And again, as long as you're not the coach that you always hated, because some people do that. Some people are the coach they hate. I'm like, you would have never liked this. People hated you. You know, like you're gonna. Yeah.
But talk a little bit more about APES Training. So you guys you operate mostly out of sports and wellness, or do you have the ability to transfer to other gyms?
Typically, we just do our work out of sports and wellness, and then. So I work with a lot of members there, but sometimes outside people as well that want to get into the program and get an introduction into the kind of style of training and that. I think that kind of similar to what you're talking about with what can you pick from different coaches that I've had. My experience in New Mexico was that besides what I was able to do for myself, I was unprepared. I was unprepared for the college level, and that's where a lot of New Mexico athletes, it's either sink or swim, right? It's catch up or fall back, and that's why with my training program, it's geared towards preparing them for the next level, not just making sure they excel where they're at, but over preparing them right now to be prepared for later. And I have all of my guys say these are the hardest workouts I've ever done. We see actual pounds of muscle being put on over a period of time, huge percentage increases in their strength, and their testing and all of their metrics to make sure that they're getting the progress that they're looking for.
Let's talk about positions. You were offensive lineman?
So I was a defensive end, and then I switched to offensive line for my final
What kind of pounds, not to say this is a guarantee that they could just, hey, he told me, but what kind of pounds do you think someone could expect from having a position like yours and you training them for that? Like, let's say an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, what do you think you could give them in pounds?
So
that impresses me.
So what I always shot for over the course of a year while I was training was 20 pounds, right?
That's
so
huge.
20 pounds, right?
So
now for an offensive lineman, that might be a little different, as oftentimes they need to lose some fat and build some muscle.
Sure.
So it might be if you're
kind of displacing.
If you're an offensive lineman coming out of high school and you're 285, 290, it might be cut back a little bit, but also maybe just stay there and convert it to more explosive, more powerful mass instead of probably fat, right? So
you give them a meal plan and all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's helpful, right? Because usually when you get to training, there's this like a dietitian, and then there's this trainer. But you go, well, here's what I did. I've got the test key. Like here's what we need to put together. So I think that's an important thing when someone can kind of work out your whole regimen for the day. Like, here, you want to get to there, here's what I did. And I think it's important for someone to go, oh, this guy did it before. How did you get there? So
and I think one of my biggest tips for especially my young athletes, there's pretty much every young athlete needs to eat more, right? They're growing, right? They're putting on mass, they're getting better, they're burning a huge amount of calories with being at school all day and then doing sports
more
in the
fried
evenings.
Chicken sandwiches.
And I'm a big peanut butter and jelly guy. So one of the ways that I like to get in extra calories is peanut butter and jelly on the way to the gym, right? Because you're always hungry after the gym. So if you can force yourself to eat something right before,
Yeah,
you're
actually,
gonna
I
burn
saw
it
this
off.
guy like just
right?
munching down. I like walked in, and he's just like eating, and him and his girlfriend just chilling out and like eating. And I go, what are you doing right now? But this guy's just munching away. Yeah.
Well, it's, especially as I got to the heavier weights of like 260, 275, and playing offensive line, I knew I needed to be bigger. I mean, we're talking 6,000 calories a day just to maintain my weight
How
at
did you get to
285 pounds.
Lifting your mom.
When you were a shortstop, when you got to 265?
They call me short stock. No, I think my playing weight was 200, and it was tough to keep 200 because you're at the field for 8 hours a day, and you just burn.
Oh, for
burn
sure.
through it.
Well, it's similar to anybody working a regular 9-to-5 job. If somebody's trying to put on that muscle mass, there's only one lunch during the day. It's tough to get those calories in during that period of time, and especially I was always eating in my classrooms, right? So my second period class.
I know that move.
Yeah, my second period class,
GMs.
my
Second meal
senior
of the day.
year, I would, right when class ended, we had 7 minutes to get to the next class, and I'd ask my math teacher, I say, you mind if I cook a turkey burger in your microwave?
way.
I like that.
So I'd pull out my lunchbox and I'd throw a turkey burger
Hey, you
in the
mind if I
microwave.
plug in my George Foreman grill? I'm just going to be over here in the corner.
Yeah,
No wonder everyone hated athletes. Like, just all entitled. I'm gonna cook a burrito real quick.
Yeah. I had a
You got a pizza delivered.
I had a memory show up on social media the other day of my friend filming me in class, and I'm across the room, and I got my shaker bottle with my high-calorie protein out, and the teacher's just going on with their class, and I'm over
I
here with
know.
the shaker bottle.
How obnoxious are we doing that, though? I did that, too. It's just like...
But it's necessary,
I
right?
know,
So it's
I know. It just looks like we are being egregious.
entitled,
it's taking the extra steps to make sure
There you
that
go.
you're
I get it.
getting
care of your
the.
body.
I know.
Well, it's one of the things I tell my guys now. It's like you need to fuel yourself to get bigger, right? You need to fuel yourself to get faster. You're not doing enough on the nutrition side to get where you want to go. You want to be a D1 athlete,
Yes.
but you're eating like a high schooler.
We just need to get
right?
to the
So
point where
it's-
you just have an IV in class.
Yeah.
And you just don't even
getting a
you just-
massage.
Yeah, just write stuff down and just. We have to get out of this segment.
Well, let's
now,
talk
'cause we ran
a
out
little
of-
bit more. So, if somebody wants to join APES Training, what's the best way to find you?
So the best way to reach out is APES Training on Instagram, just APES Training. I have a new page there. It's growing quicker than I expected, honestly.
Good.
But also my personal page is attached to that as well, so feel free to reach out in any way like that. But on top of that, you can find me primarily. I'm working out of River Point Sports and Wellness right now. That's one. They have a turf area outside. They have a turf area inside for a wide variety of things. We currently I have soccer, basketball, football, and then baseball as well, right? So I'm dealing with a whole bunch of different athletes that have a whole bunch of different strength requirements, but we're working on every athlete needs to be fast. Every athlete needs to have explosive power, right? And then the speed and the athleticism as well. Like we see, especially with the new stuff, the new athletes that are just getting in, we see exponential growth in their athleticism and how strong they're able to get during the time of, usually the programs are structured in 3 to 6 months, but sometimes we have athletes that have a smaller window and we just get in there and we grind, and the goal is to, like I mentioned before, over prepare them for what they're doing now to make sure that they can excel.
Looks like we need to take a class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys come
We've got
down.
exponentially slower.
Yeah.
As we got older.
I do deal with a lot of non-traditional athletes, and I'd say that's what you
Very
guys are.
non-traditional. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sit in a chair the whole time. Adam, it's cool to hear about all the cutting edge stuff you're doing to help training new athletes in the next wave and helping people up and become better athletes. So thank you for coming on the show, man.
Yeah.
We'll have links to all of your websites and everything else. So
And
Adam Gay,
one thing I would leave with you guys is that you will never be the best you can doing what is expected of you, right? So you need to push yourself to excel and do more than everybody else if you want to be better than everybody else.
You understand that?
Yeah,
I'm gonna write that down.
I appreciate
That's
it.
good.
I'm gonna
info.
actually
I appreciate
So
it.
yeah, so if you're doing mortgage broking or selling houses,
Yeah.
and if you want to be better, you can't just do what's expected of you in
Hence
that position.
the UABQ
So, there you
podcast.
go.
Thank you guys for
Branching
tuning
out.
in. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're going to wrap up the show with everybody's favorite, the marriage saving.
It get converted to marriage saving now. Okay.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Thanks, Adam, for coming on. We're in our last segment where we'll be saving marriages and baby carriages. Skip's tips.
Oh, that's right, it's Skip's Tips. Anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. 3 things that you need to know before you apply for a mortgage. Number 1, credit score. A good credit score is anywhere from 650 to 700. An excellent credit score will get you the best rates and the best terms when you get your financing. So try and keep it in the mid to high 700s. Now, say you're having a hard time and a minimum score that you would need would be 580, and you could still qualify for an FHA loan. Number 2, let's talk about down payment. Did you know you can get a mortgage with less than 20% down? Yeah, here's how it works. There are some loan programs available where you can put down as little as 3 to 5% of the purchase price down towards your loan. And number 3, let's talk about DTI, your debt to income ratio. This is what the lender is going to use to determine how much money you can qualify for on your monthly payment. Generally, your lender wants to see your debt to income ratio at 36%. That will allow enough room for you to make your mortgage payment and still take your kids out to dinner. These are 3 things that you absolutely need to be aware of before you apply for your mortgage. Share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so. Hey, it's the YouABQ podcast. Dude, what a great episode. I just feel so short after talking to Adam, you know? Not that I'm 6'2".
Not short on humor, not short on friends.
Show him your pants are kind of short.
You want to see? Yeah, my pants. I look at that last episode, and I just don't know if I grew a bunch or need to go back to close up.
Dude, I feel like I'm taller than you. Look at it.
You feel like you're taller than me? You're not.
Every Wednesday and Sunday on the Education Channel.
Channel 96?
Channel 96, everybody's favorites. Stay tuned. This is the YouABQ podcast from Albuquerque. YouABQ.
Woof, woof, woof.
You're watching YouABQ.